So how you been?
I've been good.
Yeah.
I've been pretty good. How have I been? I don't know. It's been slow, but it's been okay. I'm just, I don't know, just trying to enjoy summer and save money and
Tell me about it.
make money where I can.
Have you been doing auditions, or have you been booked since we were both booked on that thing, or no?
No, I haven't been booked since that. Maven. I guess I can't
Was
say
it? Was it really? No.
I haven't been booked since that.
No. It was the. Oh wait, was it? Wait, no.
I haven't.
Oh wait, no, that's right. Yeah, it was Maven. I always get this confused. I always get my shows crossed.
Yeah.
You know?
It gets confusing when you work on so many of them. It's
Yeah, seriously.
Wait, what was that? Yeah. But I think Maven was the last one, and before that, it was the what's it called? The murder thing.
Yeah, and I got that one crossed too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the thing I did after that was after the last thing that we did together was stand-in work.
Oh, cool. Okay.
But that was like last minute because the booking agent wanted money.
Because what?
Because the booking agent wanted to be paid.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, it's fine.
I've had a couple of auditions. I had a guest star audition for a Caitlin Olsen show,
Oh, yeah.
like a new show. So that was good, but I don't think I got it. And then I had an audition for The Studio, the new Seth Rogen show, as a co-star to be a nerd, a dork, or a dweeb.
How did you find those? Like backstage or?
No, through my agent.
Through
Coast to coast. So those always come through.
That's
for the
nice.
most part, they come through then. Sometimes I'll like send an email and get like a random audition here and there, like one out of every.
Is it how did you get your it's a theatrical agent, right?
Yeah, coast to coast. Yeah, they're theatrical.
Is it just one of those things that you applied to that, or is it just like was it mostly because of UCLA stuff? And we'll go through the whole thing, but I'm just curious.
How did I get that? Well, I had them as a commercial agent first.
Oh, okay.
And then I told them I needed a theatrical. Well, I was like, I need a theatrical agent now. I sent my stuff in to the theatrical department, and I think because I was already with them commercially, that helped. And then I met with Elia, and and then he liked me.
Everything just went from there, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it took like freaking 16 years. Like,
no,
don't get me wrong.
No, trust me, I know.
No, not 16 years. What am I saying?
It took a while.
Yeah, that's like the hardest thing in the world, and it's great to have an agent, but like at the same time, it's like everything most things that you book, most of my stuff has not come from having an agent. It's like from not having. It's like and I mean, it's true what they say. It's 10% of it is they get 10% for because they're submitting you, but they have so many other clients.
Right.
So like 90% of the work, you have to be out there. You have to be meeting people. You have to be like forging relationships and making things happen on your own.
But you're putting in all the work yourself, is what you're saying.
Well, no, I mean, they do a lot to get bigger opportunities, and that's great. But like, as someone who wants to like work, and it's always going to be, I think, like kind of what you put into your career at every level.
Of course.
I think even if you're with like the bigger agencies, it's always like who you know and what relationships you have and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think. Yeah, definitely. It's a lot to unpack already. So yeah.
Did we start?
Yeah,
I thought we did, and then I wasn't sure because I was like, okay, it's red on you, but I'm not.
No. It's really no. That's the perfect. That's the thing, right? That's the. So wait a minute. So yeah, when did you decide that you wanted to be an actor?
When did I decide that I wanted to be an actor? Let's see. So I grew up. I moved around a ton growing up.
Where are you from?
Not a ton, a lot. I didn't move like. I'm from NorCal originally, San Jose, and then when I was 6 years old, we moved to Virginia because my dad got a job in Virginia. I started doing gymnastics when I was like 3, and I was on like the fast track to like the Olympics.
Oh, really?
For a little bit, yeah.
No shit.
I had because it was so Amy Chow, who was on the 1996 Olympics. She went to our gym. What was it? It was called, I think it was Southwest Gymnastics. So Bela Caroli, yeah, she went to our gymnastics place.
Shit. Wow.
Yeah, and then I had a lot of energy as a kid. So I was put in gymnastics and I loved it. That's actually one of my first memories, is being on a tumble track and being told to jump down it.
Really?
The tumble track. That's like literally, I think, one of my first memories of being in a gym. Yeah. And then we got to do this thing at like this big stadium in San Jose. Where like the whole team came out because they were like doing some promotional thing, and then they picked some
national competition or something, or no?
It was like a tour. It was like Shannon Miller, Amy Chow, J.C. Phillips,
Wow. An Olympian tour, basically.
Dominic Mosiano, Dominic Dawes. Yeah, so they all came out, but they had like all the little kids come out too.
Right.
And I went up and I did this like huge like straddle like split jump, and then I stood to the side and Bela Caroli put his hand on my shoulder. Do you know who Bela Caroli is?
No.
I feel like nobody does,
really
but I feel
don't.
like I don't know why I
know
like
some of those
should.
names though, because I remember that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. Carrie Strug's the one who. Yeah.
Yeah, because like some of those things from like Team USA and like even Team USA Soccer and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It just kind of
just, like,
stuck with me for a little bit.
Olympic or like high level athlete names for sure. They become household names and they're in Wheaties and stuff. But Bela Caroli, who was a famous gymnastics coach, I think he's Russian or Ukrainian. Anyway, he put his hand on my shoulder and he said, "These will be the next Olympians." And like he literally put his hands on my shoulder. So like from that moment on, I was like, I'm going to the Olympics.
How old were you when all this went down?
Oh God, that was like 5. I was like 4 or 5 back then. Yeah. And then, so we ended up moving to Virginia when I was 6, and I stuck with the gymnastics, and gymnastics was became way more hardcore over in Virginia. And I think since we moved, my parents wanted like to keep that consistency. But when we moved, I became very shy. And then we moved a few times, and basically, I think I liked gymnastics because kind of almost for the same reason I like acting now, is because you do a routine and you know the routine, and you can go out and you're like safe in this thing that you practiced in, and you go out in front of these people and you're kind of safe for a minute because you practice this thing. And then when you leave, or like the music stops or the routine's over, then you're in the real world, and the real world is scary and unpredictable, and you might move, or you might go to a new school, or you don't know where your friends are going to be, or any crazy thing can happen. But anyway,
no, I relate to that 100%.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
So, but I think, so in Virginia, I did gymnastics, and then we ended up moving to Arizona because my dad lost his job because of September 11th. He was a pilot.
Oh, wow.
So the first job he got was in Arizona. And
was he? Sorry to interject, but was he in the Air Force any of this, or was he just moving because he was a pilot?
Yeah, just because he was a pilot.
Just because he was working.
Yeah, it was a commercial
airline. So it was just like markets. The markets would just okay.
He was with U.S. Airways at that point. And
then
I see. He got laid off.
Yeah, they folded.
And then and then he got a job in Arizona.
Wow.
That's
crazy, dude.
Yeah, but I think back that even when I was like in Virginia, I remember going to like. We had like a competition. At this point, I was like a level 6, but I was like, I don't know, maybe like 9 or something when I was a level 6.
Is that good? Is that high?
That's good.
Yeah.
I guess that's about, I was 8 or 9. Yeah, because when I was 12, I was
is that like a
8.
black belt in any status, or
it's
are we
like,
talking
level 10 and then elite, and then you might basically be on the Olympics.
No shit.
So like it was for being that young, it was a lot.
Yeah,
it was at that point it was only like 24 hours a week of training, but then it escalated to 35 when I was like a level 8. Wow. So I think about it now and I'm like, wow, I was like a little like
it's just a part-time job,
like a little spot. Yeah, like I could do all these things. I can't do them now, but back then, my gosh.
I was gonna say, like, is that like a skill thing, like you put on your resume today as like a skill set?
Well, the only things I can still do now are like walk on my hands, press to handstands,
That's
like
something.
do like but I can't like do like 13 pull-ups with a block on my legs, or like walk, climb the rope without legs, or like,
You had a block on your legs at 9.
Yeah, well, a block. Yeah, they'd put like, you'd like do this, and then you'd have to do, and they put
not
like a block.
I mean, how heavy is it? Like,
it's not heavy, but it's just like you have to balance with your legs like this, and then do pull-ups. I don't think I can do one pull-up now. I don't think so. No. But
wow, that's fascinating.
Yeah, but thanks. Yeah, I think though, like, but yeah, in Virginia, I do remember there was a competition we had in Ohio. And then my mom, like, she knew we were interested in acting, because I always was interested in acting and modeling. My mom was a model for a little bit, and everybody thought I was going to be really tall. And then I never ended up growing, but that's anyway. But we went to this like modeling acting thing that, like, because my mom knew we were interested, and she was like, she's just always been the best, very supportive and stuff. So me and my brother went, and it was John Casablanca. It was basically like John Robert Powers. It was a scam, but they didn't know. She didn't know, and maybe.
I mean, I fell victim to a few of those when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get it. Yeah, and they would just show up all the time. You know?
And
like, I remember, did they ever put you in like weird acting classes and things like that too? Not weird as in like, they would do, but just like things where it was like, because I remember I was in a class that was very similar to that.
Yeah.
Where it was like this boutique agency. They were taking kids to be models and actors, but they were taking them up until a certain age. I think it was like up until like 18 or something like that. Because they didn't really have an adult thing. It was just like the market was just for teenagers. So it was like CW shit and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was
but
like
nobody booked anything.
Stuff. I think, and they'd have like this promise of like, if you want to be a star.
Right,
I think mine was more like a modeling thing for whatever reason. I have a little comp card too. I actually have it. I saw it the other day of me and like my little limited 2 stuff. But I think they because there was like some market in Chicago for modeling, so they like wanted to maybe send me over there, but we couldn't go over there because we lived in Virginia. But that was a short thing. I think that was it seems like it was longer in my mind, but I think that was like a little like weekend training thing. So that was like my first dip into anything in the industry. But I have a little notebook that I brought with me, and it says stuff like, don't chew gum, like at an audition, and like my little like handwriting. And then it has like all this diet stuff, like, like all this like, I don't like, watch what you eat. And I'm like 10 years old, like writing all these. I could show you.
No, I believe you. I mean, this is the diary that you kind of found the other day, right? You posted something about it on social media.
I mean, this is a different one. It's my little modeling book.
That's
but
wild.
I had all these like rules
I'd love to
down.
See that. But in wondering, like, because I'm wondering, like, in knowing that it was a potential scam, I mean. What do you mean by, like, did you pay money for these?
My parents did, because I was, but I don't know that it was an actual scam. I don't think it was like John Robert Powers level, but it was like, but nothing ever came from it.
That's what I'm wondering. So. But I'm wondering, like, did you lose interest in any of this
because
stuff?
I was just a kid. I loved it. I loved it so much.
It was like just this energy that you
I wanted to be Hillary Duff. I think that was like starting. I was like watching. I was huge into the Disney Channel. Yeah. I like wanted to be Hillary Duff on Lizzie McGuire.
Oh, and for sure.
I was like, that's gonna happen to me. And then we moved to Arizona, and I kept up with gymnastics for a little bit, but I had too many injuries. I was becoming a level 8. It got way more intense. Mm-hmm. Some girls were practicing like before school and then after school. Wow. And everyone was getting privates and stuff, like private lessons. And it was kind of like, if you could afford those, then you kind of had a leg up on other gymnasts. I mean, because money always works that way, I guess, and everything.
Yep, unfortunately.
But yeah, I had a hernia. I had developed a hernia above my belly button, and then I tore my hamstring, and then I also broke my growth plate in my wrist doing a back handspring on the beam.
Holy shit.
So I just had too many injuries. I wanted to be social. I wanted to do more acting stuff. My mom found this performing arts school in Arizona called New School for the Arts and Academics. It was performing, literary, and visual arts school. So I got in, and I started dancing, and I was in like doing a little bit of acting, and then my brother was dancing at that point at the studio Flashpoint, and he was doing like musical theater stuff, and I was like, I want to do that too. So then after school I went and I just was part of the dance studio, and I let go of gymnastics, which I never thought I would, and I started getting more into performance and stuff.
I mean, they're kind of the same thing, though.
Yeah, they are.
You know, it's within the same bubble. I mean, and you said it yourself, too. It's like this like safe kind of thing. You worked on a routine. Yeah. You feel comfortable doing it. So I relate to that in a lot of ways. But are you doing anything like in terms of, you're not, I mean, really looking to use anything that you've learned balance-wise or anything like that you've learned, you know, almost 20 years ago and applying it to today, or what?
I think that something that you learn as a gymnast is, and probably in most sports, is to be kind of a perfectionist, which is not really good. Right. Especially this last year, I've been like, relate. I kind of am like, I really am that way. And it's not my fault because they tell, like, as a gymnast, it's like, if you're not perfect, if you go into that competition and you fall off the beam, or you screw up, you not only let yourself down and you don't get a good score, you let your team down, because there's also all around, you know? So you have to be perfect. It's about at that point, it was about getting a 10, getting a perfect 10, being perfect. And that's so instilled in you.
Let's put a pin in that for a sec. Okay. But I know where you're going with this. Yeah. Because I want to correlate that to something else later, but you know. Okay. Because I suffer from the same thing, you know, perfectionism, you know, and like, and I'm starting to notice like things like that are just, you know, they don't really matter as much. Like, it's just really kind of like that's in your head. You know what I mean? But I know where you're going with that. Okay. Yeah. I mean, you can finish. Please finish the thought.
No. I was like, sometimes I don't think they are just in your head. They're in your head, but if it's in your head, it can manifest in different areas of your life. 1,000%. And it's like the unlearning of but there's also some good things in it as well, but we'll put a pin in it.
No, for sure. Yeah, because I definitely want to come back to that. Because like you're living in Arizona. Yeah. And you're a teenager. You're
now
in high school.
Like 12.
Oh, okay.
11, 12 to 16.
So when do you come back to how do we make the jump to UCLA? Okay. Are you doing theater? Are you doing like high school theater, drama club? Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I get that because I was in the same shit. So
that's awesome. Yeah. Arizona is great for the arts.
Is it really?
I think it really is.
What part of Arizona? Tucson?
So I was in Phoenix.
Well, it's the same area, right?
Tucson's a little more north. I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure it's a little more north. well, no, from like 11 to 16. Tucson is, I know it's outside of Phoenix for sure.
But Phoenix itself is good for the arts.
Phoenix is great for the arts.
I've never heard anybody say that.
Yeah, really? It is. I think it's like, especially the visual arts, and then like dance, and then also film, because they have like the Phoenix Film Festival, and they have, now like I think the Southwest is becoming like a bigger market for film and whatnot, because like tax breaks and I don't know, people just shooting in New Mexico. I guess New Mexico is probably the biggest place there that people shoot. But
Arizona had a lot of like
Arizona there were like huge dance teams. Like oh my gosh, so much dance in Arizona. I ended up going. I think so. Yeah, because it's hot and people are you can get kind of apathetic maybe, and as
too bad they still don't have a hockey team.
I know, but they do have ice skating and figure skating. But
of course, they do,
at NSA, I basically 7th and 8th grade, I did mainly dance and then acting, and then a little bit of singing, and then in high school, I did. Oh my gosh, it was so cool. I was on the dance team. I was in acting. I know she's staring at me. Or he's staring at me.
He's like, it's
intimidating me a little bit. I know. Like he's trying to pierce into my soul. I'm uncomfortable with this.
Well, he's an audience member. Get used to this. You're an actor.
Yeah.
Just get used to this. He's captivated.
Yeah, he's
So wait a minute. So okay. So Arizona. So you're doing a lot of competitions.
Yeah, I was doing a lot of dance competitions, and then I had this really great acting teacher, Jeffrey Middleton, who was so encouraging. And I remember one of the first times I really felt comfortable acting was when he had us do this physicality exercise. And we did like an Edgar Allan Poe night. And I don't think it was The Raven, but I did some
That's really cool.
monologue thing. But he also had us pick an animal character. And I decided to pick a walrus. So like, because I was very flexible and stuff, because I grew up as a gymnast and I was a dancer.
Have you ever seen a walrus in real life?
Yes, I have. They like,
Okay.
so I like arched my back and like did all this cool contortion stuff. And he was like, he was like, yes, like that's so, he really encouraged me. And then,
That's awesome.
And we also had like voice and speech classes at that school, which was so ahead of its time, because I remember going to UCLA and most people had never even had a class like that. He had us like meditate. Some of the stuff we were doing was like college level.
I remember going to somebody who was like that too.
Okay.
When I was 16.
Yeah.
And I didn't think it was damaging, but looking back at some of the things that we did, some of the exercises, it kind of was.
Oh, it was damaging?
To me,
Okay.
But in a way where it's just like, I always relate to how we have such a pedophilic type culture, to where it's just like, you can't really expect people under a certain age to do things that are heavy.
Okay.
So it's one of those things where it's just like, for me personally, like, when I was doing, because we were studying this guy Eric Morris, which I don't know if you're familiar with him, but we were also meditating and we were also doing speech, and every single class that I've ever taken after that one, and that one when I was like 16, it was life changing, like quite literally life changing. Like I don't like I think that the abuse came from other teachers later. Oh, okay. But the thing when I was studying with this lady Carolyn, she loved the arts so much that it was like she lived in that world, but she lived in it for far too long. Oh. And it did a lot of damage to her psyche, which she in turn enabled, teenagers and college students to go absolutely bug fuck. So like the things that they were choosing as far as their like scene study classes were like murder, rape, robbery, death and dying, heavy ass subjects.
That may be
and like this Tarantino-esque almost point of view to some cases, right? But also too, it was just like, if you couldn't learn how to do this, then you're bad. If you couldn't learn how to do that, and that's how I was processing it. So maybe it was just me and how I was processing all of it. Maybe it was just like that was kind of, maybe it was just something, other people got other different things from it, but it became this like religious experience. Like I'm sure that one did for you, where you would just want to go to it constantly every week. You didn't want to miss a class. You just had to go. You had to feed into it. So I relate to that heavy, and I'm surprised that no one from UCLA wasn't really used to that shit.
Well, like, some people were. I think some people who went to like Loxa or what's it called? There's like OCHA and
for sure.
Some of the art schools did.
But like the bigger ones though, like
some people who just came from straight like public school, high school musical theater, they weren't.
Right.
But
I mean, it's not every day that you get training, like somebody actually tells you to reach in the bottom depths of your soul while listening to this meditation hour. And then
ours wasn't really like that. I don't think. Mine was a little different than it sounds like yours was. Yeah, I mean, ours was like
we would listen to like compositions and like and then perform whatever the fuck we were feeling. So. Okay. And I'm going through a class that's similar to that now, but I'm learning how to compartmentalize. Where? She's in New York right now, but she was in Burbank area, like for a little bit. What? Oh God. She was doing these these workshops. God, what the fuck is her name? It's so funny because I never actually I'm terrible with names, and B with her too. I never actually knew that she knew my name. Yeah, never really. Yeah, but I'll send you the deets because because she'll be back in the fall. Like she does 6 months here and then 6 months in New York.
Oh, cool.
So yeah,
that's cool.
But like, it's not every day you get things like that.
I thought it was really great that we meditated and stuff and did voice and speech. I think like
for sure.
I mean, especially as a teenager, I now being basically twice that age, I'm like, wow, I wish I had meditated. I think it was so cool that he had us do that, and it really helped all of us. And I wish I had kept up. I have a little bit, but I thought that was great. And the voice and speech, and I thought, the training I got there was amazing. And then in between classes, if we didn't have anything to do, I would go to like the fashion department and I would like sew something, or I would go like throw a pot.
Cool. Yeah.
It was and we had like a graffiti wall, like where people could graffiti because they're a visual artist. It was a really cool school. It felt like Cal Arts, actually, because I've been to Cal Arts a few times, but like the high school version. But then at 16, my dad ended up getting a job in Los Angeles, and we moved out here, which is what I had always wanted to do, which was cool. But yeah, and then I auditioned for Champs in the Van Nuys, is the art school in Van Nuys.
Oh yeah, I know that school.
Yeah, and
I've seen it.
I auditioned for the drama and the dance, and I got into both. And I picked drama, and then I switched to dance, which kind of pissed some people off. And because then I switched to film, and they were like, "You can't switch." And I just kept. I was like, "I want to do it all."
Wow.
But
that's pretty amazing.
You have to pick a lane. I don't know, but yeah, and Champs was a completely different type of art school. It was a lot more like they weren't visual performing and literary. They were just performing. So they had like music. They had dance, they had drama, and then I think our senior year they had like a film, TV, media department. But the dance we did there was like modern ballet. The acting was the acting was similar. It was like all classical work, but then the music, it just wasn't as like NSA was like experimental like crazy.
Interesting.
There was no dress code at that school. It was a little wild.
NSA?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, New School for the Arts and Academics. I know it sounds like a government.
I was like, wait a minute.
I'm revealing I'm part of the NSA right now. It slipped out.
So wait a minute. No. So
national security.
Comparatively though, right, by comparison, they're two different schools.
Yeah, it was much more straight-laced
Bohemian
versus like more
suit and tie.
Yeah. But the kids there didn't think so. But like my experience, but also it was like because there were kids there that were working on Disney and Nickelodeon and stuff, and just
so they're all auditioning on big things.
Yeah, but they're like they weren't necessarily in like because they would just go there and do like the academic classes and then leave to go to the jobs, the Disney, Nickelodeon, or whatever, acting jobs. So that was weird for me because I was like, I'd never really met anyone who'd been on TV, and all of a sudden I'm in my math class and I recognize somebody and I'm like, what? Oh shoot, sorry.
Oh no, you're good. You're good.
Talk with my hands.
No, you keep going. I mean, that's fine if you want to get intimate. You can. I mean, feel free to move the arm around a little bit if you need to.
No, it's I just.
But no, you're coming out pretty good. I can see your levels, so you're good.
Cool.
So, but wait a minute. So you recognize who is this person? I mean.
The first person I ever recognized was Morgan York. She was on like Hannah Montana.
Uh-huh.
And
I know the show. I don't know her.
Yeah,
sorry.
she was like this because I was like huge Disney person, right? Mm-hmm. So and she was also in like Cheaper by the Dozen.
That's
cool. She was one of the dozen.
What was it? I mean, it's pretty surreal that these are your classmates.
Yeah, it was, but I remember it was like my first day there and I was in math and I kept looking at her because in my head, I thought like I knew her from somewhere. I was like, I know her. Where do I know her? Like, do I know her from Arizona? And then I was like, oh wait, I know her because she was on that show.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, for my 16-year-old brain it was.
Yeah, exactly.
But like now I'm like, it's not. It's like kids and living in this town and stuff, it's like, no, you get lucky, you grow up in a thing, you're on a show. It's like, I don't know. My whole brain has like changed over how I see this stuff now.
Yeah,
at the time I was like, oh my gosh. And then there were other people too that were like doing stuff and I was like, what? But But yeah, I got to do Hamlet. I auditioned for Hamlet, and I got Ophelia, which was very cool. And then this
classic.
Yeah,
I can actually see it.
Yeah, very
tragic,
deep and tragic and dark. And
that's rough for high school students, man.
I don't know. Yeah,
that's
I
fucking
guess
rough
it is.
for high school students.
Yeah, no, it is. But I think like
I mean, out of
you
all
don't
the
realize it at that time.
No, of course not.
Like I think it's almost like watching a movie or hearing a song at different times in your life. It means something completely different to you.
Yeah,
and like back then, it was like, oh, I didn't really realize. This is so nerdy. The depths, which is like a weird term to say because of Ophelia. But anyway, I didn't realize like the depths of how tragic and deep and whatever it was.
Yeah.
But I, in a way, I did because we did it and it turned out well. It was a great performance, like from everybody, and we were all very invested in it. And yeah, I don't know, but
it's kind of like what I was talking about. You know what I mean? Waiting on certain things because I mean because we were doing stuff that was similar to that in that class that I was talking about. Yeah, but I digress. So but that's awesome though. I'm glad you had a great like experience like working on that kind of stuff. Did you yourself do any big auditions when you were 16? Did you have an agent at that time? Or
no, I didn't have
go out for anything.
My first agent was in Arizona. It was with Signature Models and Talent.
But nothing when you were like when you made the move out here.
When I moved to LA, I was with I think in high school, my first agent out here was the Wallace Agency, which they don't exist anymore. I went and I did a comedy and a drama monologue for him, and then I don't think I ever had one audition.
Oh wow!
And then I was with Jerry Pace for a little bit. You know Jerry Pace?
Name sounds really familiar. I think I've heard from like acting classes or something.
I think they're a little. My experience with them was that I got like a handful of commercial auditions, but I know some people say they're kind of scammy, but they never took any money from me, and I was just going to commercial auditions and I got some callbacks. Most of the commercial auditions I did though were like gymnastics based because at like that point I could still do, and I might still be able to, I just haven't, but I could do like back handsprings and I could still do all of my stuff pretty dang well. So
that's good.
So but so that was my agent there, and then and then I auditioned for colleges and stuff. Wow. Yeah.
You just went straight into...
Well, because like...
steamrolling through all of that, right?
Well, because I don't come from money or connections. So my best bet was to go to a college because I'm not a kid who grew up in the industry. I don't have credits, right? So it's like... And then I got into UCLA. I got waitlisted at CalArts. And then... and then I got into UCLA, and I was like, and my like kind of when I was a kid, and when from Arizona, we would drive out to LA and visit sometimes, and I kind of like manifested that. I remember going to the UCLA campus and being like, I want to go here someday.
No shit.
And then and then I auditioned.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was. I think I've been able to do that in my life for some things, not for everything, but like for some things I have.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, like you're in these environments with these people who are getting booked on jobs, who are getting noticed on things. They're involved in the industry to some capacity. Yeah. And did you audition for UCLA, or was it just one of those?
Auditioned.
So you auditioned for the drama program specifically.
Yeah. But I was going to say, not to just say this again, but like the difference between me and those kids is that they either have...
It's cash and connections.
Yeah. Their parents are doing it too.
That goes without saying. But I mean, like, there's this trend where it's just like you could see it in front of you.
Yeah.
You know, it's around you. You're in the right spots.
Kind of.
You're always in the right spot. I think it's one of those things where it's just like you got to give yourself more credit because you're literally in... the spots with your, even though that, you yourself aren't having as much luck. Yeah. I don't even think any of those kids are doing the same thing that they were doing 15, 20 years ago.
I mean, some of them aren't. Yeah.
Maybe not. It's a toss up, right? Yeah. So it's like, you're in the right place, right? You're just waiting for the right time, but you're having these, like, UCLA is a big deal.
I mean, it was a big deal. It was really cool.
What was that whole experience like?
I don't know. It was 4 years. It feels like a completely different lifetime ago. I think it was really great to have like a full college experience. I think some of the classes I felt kind of bored in because it felt like repetition of what I had done in high school, going to performing arts high schools.
But they didn't even like voice stuff, right? Like meditation and voice stuff you're talking about, or no?
I mean, I just like a lot of it. I think like at 18, I was ready to just like had I been able to get an agent, you know, and that's like a weird age. Well, no, 18 is good. When you're 16 and 17, it's weird because you either have to get your GED. You have to, GED, is that what it's called? You have
when you don't finish high school?
You can like options for youth and stuff. That's like a school out here. Is it a G? Yeah, I think that's what it's called. Why would you have to
get your GED, though?
Because you'd have to be legal 18 to work. Like, if you're 16, 17, they don't want to hire a 16 and 17-year-old on these shows. They want to hire somebody legal 18 because they can work more hours.
So it's
like an awkward age when you're a teenager.
Basically, well, it's like you have to get emancipated from your parents, basically.
Yeah.
So that's what Drew Barrymore had to do.
Yeah, that's what a lot of
of kids
actors have had to do.
And they make such a big fucking deal out of it. But that's what I'm talking about, like the whole stupid ass fucking theory of mine. Anyway, I'm sorry, continue.
Oh, no, you're good. No, but like that was something like I kind of wanted to do that, to be honest. I just wanted to work so bad. But you know, so I got into UCLA, so that was the best.
Did you do any plays at UCLA?
Did I do plays at UCLA? We did a lot of in-class performances and stuff. And then I did, the Royal Shakespeare Company came over.
Rad. Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That was cool. And I was first they had me as like a security guard. And then I did it. And they gave me a larger role. So they gave me a Reagan. Yeah. Because I did it. I don't like saying I did a good job, but I did. I impressed. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Hell yeah. Cool. That's how I got into a lot of the stuff was through Shakespeare.
Well, I mean, like not just doing Ophelia in school, but I mean like legit, like actually, I mean, do you do the outdoor Shakespeare stuff like that they do in Topanga and things like that?
I don't.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. The Shakespeare in the Park.
Yeah. Have you ever auditioned for any of that stuff?
I have auditioned for that.
Oh, wow.
I did not get it.
No shit.
But I should audition more.
What is it about Shakespeare that, I mean, other than like, you know, the language and everything like that, like what draws you to the whole thing? Because I can't get into it.
You can't get into it?
No. I mean, I've read Shakespeare a million times. I know the stories and everything like that too. Titus Andronicus is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
But it's also like punk Shakespeare. You know what I mean? Okay. Like he did it at like a punk rock age of his life. Hamlet's more like the very depressing, nothing ever gets better kind of story. And then there's also like, you know, the classics that we all know of. But like, what draws you to the whole thing? Like,
well, I know you said it like it wasn't an option, but I think it is the language.
Yeah.
I think that is a big thing. I think like I think some of the best actors are able to perform in a way that you can kind of tell if they're a good actor or not by if you understand what they're saying through that classical language, because it is hard to grasp onto and it is hard to like modernize in
iambic pentameter.
Yeah. But I think like the kind of mark of a good actor is if you go to one of those shows and you like actually can understand and feel what they're saying, because some people you can't and they're just saying the words, or it's just like they're not really connecting to it. But yeah, the best actors, I've seen people perform before and I'm like it's like they're talking to me like I'm talking to you right now, you know, and they just have such a deep connection to it, and you can feel it, you know, and sometimes it's just like it just washes over you. It's like it almost feels like a different language.
Right. I've been on both sides of that.
But yeah, I think some of the best actors are the ones who can perform it.
What do you think allows a person to, you know, be? Is it confidence, or is it more or less just like opportunity? Like, what do you think?
For what? Comfort.
To like, well, when you're performing something like that, you know, Shakespeare is several centuries old.
Yeah.
You know, everybody knows what's happening in the stories, but in terms of like, you know, the ethics and everything else, the principles have changed, but we have taken all of those stories, modernized them to the point where we put them in Star Wars. Like we've done Shakespeare Star Wars. So, but what do you think it is with actors and performers when they're performing those roles? and they're so immersed in them, do you think that, because I've never actually talked to a Shakespearean actor before, so, and I do consider you a Shakespearean actress.
I guess
so
that's
it's
where
like,
I come from,
so it's like, you
yeah.
know, I'm just curious as to what what training is involved, and what, you know, as far as like how you can, you know, is it the same type of like principles that you would do with a role? Is it the same type of cadence? How are you prepping for Shakespeare, and how is that allowing you to perform it, I guess is what I'm trying to ask. Because part of it, part of it, I think, like, even with like understanding a role currently, you know, it's like a lot of subtext and trying to understand what they're saying. So yeah, I get that. But I don't think everybody can do Shakespeare.
Yeah.
I don't even think like the best actors in the world, like, you know, Benedict Cumberbatch, sure, he could do anything, right?
Yeah.
But I honestly don't know if anybody that is, you know, an American actor, I know that's an ignorant fucking statement, but I know plenty of American actors who could do Shakespeare. Yeah. I just don't understand it. That's where I'm coming from.
I think it's like, not to simplify it so much, but I think it is a lot of text work. I think it is a lot of like voice and speech classes and whatnot, and breath and where, you know, your breath is placed, whatever. But I think like at the end of the day, it's about making it real for the first time. This is the first time you've ever said this, like making it like kind of, this is real. Right. This is actually happening. It doesn't matter how old this text is. I think the more you can kind of go insane for a second or whatever for however length of time you need to, and then just kind of I don't know, explore. like it's this is actually, this is real.
I guess what I'm wondering is, like, can anybody who's never read Shakespeare ever in their life do Shakespeare?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's step one.
I think.
But also, yeah, because it is one of those, you know, it seems like a massive hill to climb.
Okay. Yeah. Well, to me, like Shakespeare. So for dancers, hip hop dancers study ballet, right?
Right.
And that makes them better at hip hop. It makes them better at it makes you better at every form of dance. That's the technique. For singers, opera. That's like what you study. It just strengthens your technique for every other style. And then for actors, it's Shakespeare. And it'll strengthen you for every other style of acting or even a commercial work or whatever, because
it's about discipline. And
I think, but it's also, it's about like, if it's about discipline, but it's about learning something as like a technique. And also it's about like respect for your craft. Like the thing that I like about the EU and the UK is that, okay, now this is segueing.
No, please.
Off.
Yeah, you know, I want to hear this.
So they have,
I think all of this is important, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, they have Spotlight, which is like the EU, UK, whatever, Australia, Actors Access. But in order to be on it, you have to have studied, or you have to have worked professionally, which means you started as a kid, or you went to a conservatory program. Now their conservatory programs are way less expensive than they are like in the States. Of course. Going to school here is way more expensive. But they learn in those programs, they learn classical text, they do voice and speech, they do stage combat, they really learn about the craft. It's a craft over there. Over here, anyone can be on Actors Access, anyone can get an agent, it doesn't matter. And then, which I don't agree with. Right. But you know, it's the business over here. It's about the money. Over there, it's much more respected as a craft, and that's why I think some people think those actors are better or whatever, but it's because they've studied this. It's because they really are embedded in everything that makes an actor. They're not just necessarily, I mean, some people are for sure, but they're not really doing it to be a celebrity or whatever. And that the theater is so much well regarded over there. Like it's like, and actors in general are respected more over there. Like it's you're like a doctor,
right?
Or like any other profession that you have to study.
I know.
You know.
I know. You keep on talking about it. It makes me want to go there. I just like, what the fuck are we doing here?
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't know.
You know,
I think.
I mean, really, in retrospect, I mean, really, it's just like, why do they come here? You know?
Yeah.
Like,
well, I mean, I think the art of storytelling is like the most important thing really in the world. Everything comes from story. Like you look at the Bible, you look at like a religion, you look at everything. Everything is story, right?
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you have storytellers? Why wouldn't you hire storytellers who really know what
now you're
they're talking about? But because
now we're getting into literally what I was talking about in the strike, which was, you know, if you are building a house, if you're trying to create a foundation, would you hire non-union construction workers?
Right. Well,
I mean, really, like what it comes down to, like, what are you know, what are we cutting costs on really?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also too, you're seeing like the quality of disperse and go haywire. And it's just like, what the fuck are we really doing here, guys? Have you noticed, like, and again, going back to my insane theory, you know, have you noticed that everyone who's like made it is under the age of 25, under the age of 30? Like literally, like we used to worship, but like pay respect and homage to actors who were much older. 45 used to be the lucky number. Then it became 40. Then it became 35. Now it's 10 years younger than that. How much younger are you willing to go? I mean, really, like in retrospect, like what are we dealing with here? You know what I mean? Because on one hand, we're talking about, you know, having a constant stream of revenue, right? People crave entertainment. Okay, yeah, we get that. But you can't put Timothée Chalamet in every fucking movie until he cancels himself out because of age, you know?
Well,
and I think so many people are kind of like, that's what's happening. You know what I mean? Like there's certain actors who actually have like that number very consistent. Nicole Kidman, A-list star. Jessica Chastain, now she's an A-lister. But like, you know, it took her like 10 years to kind of like get to that status, you know? And she's cranking out movies, you know, not left and right like Adam Driver is, you know what I mean? But like, what is it with like these actors? Because I mean, you've seen it too. And I know we've all seen the Quiet on the Set stuff, you know? And those actors were scarred for life. But they're trying to pick themselves back from the ashes. I'm sure, you know, some of those guys are trying to actually continue pursuing it. And the ones that aren't made it very clear that they want to stay the fuck away from it. Yeah. But like how, you know, this is what it fascinates me about our industry is like where they're willing to make excuses on. What are they willing to bet on? Why are they doing certain things this way where they're trying to take a bunch of IPs, make $30 million for one movie? No, make 3 individual $10 million movies.
Okay.
Or 5 other movies that cost, you know what I'm saying? Like make smaller, more budgets, make it more readily opportunity driven for people, but they're not doing this.
I actually feel like there's more opportunities now the older that you get for actors.
Really?
I think so. I think like there's more for women. At least I don't know. I think there's more stories that are being told.
I just haven't seen it then.
Well, I mean, I just saw this last year with Jodie Foster and Annette Bening. What is it called?
Oh, the Naiad movie?
Yeah, Naiad.
Yeah. But that's Jodie Foster and Annette Bening.
Yeah, but I mean, but it has to start somewhere, right? And if it's the A-listers that are starting it, then at least they're starting it. And, you know, if they're putting themselves... a lot of reasons they're doing that is... I was listening to Naomi Watts the other day, and she was saying that, like, she thought... by the time she hit like her mid 30s or 40, like she was told that it was like, that's it. Like, you're not going to have a career after that.
I mean, that's kind of what they usually say, but that was like,
but now, but you know, they're like getting rights, like Reese Witherspoon. I think, you know, she's getting rights to books. She's not in everything that she produces and stuff, but she's doing it. And
she's making her own stuff.
Yeah. And but if they hadn't done that, you know, for like, actors like us, like me, like whatever, for women especially, it would be like we wouldn't
Well,
they could have been too scared to do that.
I think,
I think there are more.
I agree with you on that, but I think that there are opportunities, but it's us making those opportunities for ourselves.
I
don't think anyone else is doing it other than they are.
Right.
You know?
I think you have to do it for yourself, and obviously it's easier if you have name, status, and money. But at least they're doing it.
Everyone's a content creator.
Yeah, everyone's a content creator, which, but that's the thing. It's like, what is it? It's like adapt or die, right?
Of course,
that sounds so harsh.
No, it's true. It's true.
But like the industry isn't what the industry is when I moved here when I was 16. Mm-hmm. And I've grappled with that a lot. And I've had to come to terms with like, okay, well, this is the reality that you live in. So I could be sad that things didn't necessarily go the way I wanted them to, or I could be like, wait, this is still my life and this is still what I like to do. So, I've got to adapt with the times and, just look ahead. You can't, I don't know. You kind of, in some ways I've really had to like let go of some of my disappointments from the past and be like, well, I still love acting. It's something I'm always going to do. So I wish there were lesser known actresses that are like in rep companies and stuff, and they would give them more opportunity to lead in some of these network whatever shows or backed films or whatever by studios. Yeah, I do. I wish they would take like an unknown woman from like Boston and like put her in a thing, and maybe it'll keep changing that way. I hope it will.
Yeah,
but until then, I think like I think
I know where your head's at, because I get really pissed off too, and I'm that person that basically just gets really upset at the system and the quo and all that shit, and I think that it comes from a place of purity where it's just like, hey, this is art for art's sake. Like, we're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that you said all that, because what gives me hope is thinking about the people that I've loved and I've admired, who come from working class families, and they aren't so insulated in this bubble that is Hollywood, or that is, you know what I mean? So that gives me a lot of hope. And, but again, like, you went through this whole crazy journey where you went from the East Coast and then ended up in Los Angeles kind of like, on accident, I feel like.
Well, no, my parents always wanted to come back to California because they both grew up in Santa Cruz in Northern California. They grew up in Northern California. So they wanted to come back here. Also, like, my family, we're all cinephiles. Like, my mom got her film media degree at ASU.
Oh, no
my
shit.
dad, he's flown Francis Ford Coppola. He was his pilot for, not to name drop. Well,
sure.
But who cares? Like,
that's
why
so
not?
Cool.
He was his pilot for a while. When they were,
much as you do.
When he was shooting Tetro and Youth Without Youth. Is that Youth Without Youth? Is that what it's?
Yeah.
In like Romania and Argentina, he actually wanted my dad to relocate us like to those places. And my dad,
so cool.
My dad was like, no, I've moved my family enough. I'm not moving my teenagers to Romania.
Oh my God.
But he got to stay at Coppola's vineyard in Napa, and we got like wine and stuff. And then when we moved out to LA, there was a screening of, what was the kid? Some movie, maybe it was Tetro.
I think
Tetro
it was
the one with that kid?
Came out in 2009.
Yeah, I think so. But we went to that, and then Coppola
cool.
came out, and he like talked to my dad, and we were like, oh yeah, so cool.
Dude, that's awesome.
And we always kind of thought that might help like us more, but it did not.
So do you? You just keep moving forward. You don't get discouraged at all?
I get discouraged all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I think like now that I'm like at this moment, I've realized so deeply that the industry is not a meritocracy. It doesn't matter how long you've been here. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if you've been pursuing this for 20 years, 30 years, whatever. It's not like it's not going to give you anything because of the time you spent here.
Right.
It's like, which is freeing in a way, because I used to be so attached to like like I did my master's in Ireland, and then I did, you know, my BA and stuff. And I was like, well, something will come from this because I've studied it. And while I have studied it, I guess there's a couple of commercial success in this industry. It could come from anywhere. You just have to be like open. Like I think you just have to be an open book about it. You don't know where anything is going to go ever. You could make something and it could blow up on social media.
You're putting irons in the fire. Yeah. Seeing what burns, seeing what stokes, and that's all you can do.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, right? But yeah, and I think I've been closed-minded before about it. Like, well, I've learned this, and this, so it's like
Do you think you could pinpoint when that happened?
I think it's been like kind of over the last decade, really, of just being so, like, grasping so hard to what I've done and almost feeling like I deserve success or whatever, which I do. Everybody does.
Sure.
But at the same time, it's like letting go of, like, I think recently, like, no, my accomplishments, I'm very proud of. I'm proud of everything I've done, from background to, like,
I was just going to come back and segue like back to that perfectionism thing that you were talking about.
Yeah.
But you are grateful for everything.
I am grateful for anything, for anything and everything. Right. I'm in this industry because I'm a film nerd. I'm an acting nerd, and I love it. And I would, you know, I feel lucky. I just want to be on set, really. I love theater as well, but no, I think it's kind of like freeing to realize that you don't know what's going to happen next. You just have to be open to everything. And, you know, as much as I've learned over these 16 years or whatever, I keep saying 16 years, but it was really like after college that I was super seriously, like, trying to. I mean,
yeah, but still, though, you're still soaking in all that information. You're still doing it, right?
Yeah.
You know, so I would say 15 is an exact representation. I mean, you know, and we're only like in our 30s.
Yeah,
like that's what's crazy about everything is that I get the same notion that a lot of times I feel like it's already over.
Yeah, but it's not.
But it's not, right?
It's not. Like, anything could happen any day. You don't know how, like your podcast could blow up. Anything could happen. But that's the thing. It's like you don't, but that's the truth.
Right.
And people, like, don't believe that. People, like, want to believe these non-existent rules in this town, and there's absolutely no rule.
Yeah, no, I agree with that too. Yeah, I know, and that's kind of
which is freeing. Which is like the most
I agree. Thing. I agree, and I kind of because I want to touch back on that whole perfectionism thing that we talked about briefly.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, I mean, because you just said it, like, you know, you don't feel the same way that you did when you were, you know, a kid. Like you've learned so much in the last 5 years or 6 years. Working and being on set and actually doing the thing than you probably have ever learned in life in general, right? So it's just like you've learned that not to be completely perfect. I would hope, right? I mean,
not to be completely perfect.
I mean, yeah, you kind of alluded to that. I think, right?
I think what I've learned is that I think a tendency of mine has been to, like, it comes from gymnastics.
Yep,
if you fall from off the balance beam, you're like, okay, well, what did I do wrong, or what could have I done differently to have not fallen off the beam?
Yep.
And I think, like, in my adult life, when things don't work out, I'm like, what did you do wrong, Kendal? Like, how is this your fault? What could you have done differently to have not screwed it up or whatever? Because that comes from gymnastics. And I've learned, like, that is not, it's unhelpful.
Right.
And it's also, like, you know, like, I just saw the movie Inside Out. If Inside Out 2, sorry.
Yeah.
And if you're so wrapped up in your anxiety of
1,000%,
you know, how can I control the situation so it turns out the way I want it to? Mm-hmm. Which you have to do in a team sport, really. Yeah. That's like kind of the name of it.
It's true.
You kind of like a lot of times you will mess up more, and a lot of times you just might not. You feel so controlled. You just will always second guess if you're kind of where you're meant to be, and a lot of it is just like letting go and enjoying this thing because you love it, and it's not like acting. Acting is different than gymnastics because it's like you could do a perfect routine on the beam and you could get a 10 out of 10. But with art, and there's an argument there that gymnastics is art for sure. But like when you watch a movie, somebody's going to think it's a 10 out of 10 for them and someone's going to think it's a 1, right? It's all subjective. So that's what I've learned is like you do it because you love it. And I don't know if that makes sense. It's not.
It does. It
you're
really
not
does.
Gonna.
It really does.
You know, you kind of just have to do it because you love it and see where it goes. And because something doesn't work out, doesn't mean that it's because you could have controlled a better like outcome for like you had no control in it. A lot of times you have no control. You have to just do things because you love them and then just see what happens and like loosen up because it's just acting. It's really not that serious. It's not that serious at all. We're all like these kids who have this dream. Everyone on set. I mean, even like working on The Fabelmans, Steven Spielberg, that thing, I was like, I did background on it. Right. That was the best. I would have done that for free. I would have just stood around and watched him work. He was so, and the way he acted on set was so like, it felt like it was his first day. Not in like a professional way, but he was so excited to be there. And he called us all kids, and he was like, I want a camera there, and he was so into it. And you could tell he just really loved it. And then I went on his IMDb, and I saw that he had like all these like he has so many credits obviously because he's the father of film, but he has a lot of uncredited credits. So he'll be like he was like background in some of his films and it'll say like uncredited or whatever, but it's just like these fun little gimmicks or parts that he had, which is like, you know, even doing like what we just did on Maven, which I guess I can't say what it is.
No, I talk about it a lot.
Okay, on the Michael Jackson thing. Yeah. It's like I don't care that it's I was just happy to be like
I think
don't
everybody
know.
was.
It's just fun.
I think everybody was just wanting to work.
Yeah,
you know
wanting to work, but also it's like you're part of. We're all film nerds. There should be no hierarchy. You're here because you love it.
No, I agree. I agree. Yeah, I mean, I only ask those questions because I know it's going to probably help somebody in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I always kind of hope that somebody actually like catches something from this. I don't even know what, but I mean, and it's more like a 101, like a film and acting kind of 101 thing, but also to demystifying it, because like I know a ton of people, like trust me, like I know a ton of people who I identify with and I love and I appreciate, but who never, or like they have a certain sentiment about actors that they think that they're all fucking prima donnas, that they're all fucking babies, and I'm just like, what? I'm just like, where does that come from?
Everyone's a baby.
Everyone kind of is.
Everyone in the world.
But it's just like, again, like they crave like all this entertainment and shit like that, but they're one to talk, right? But like, then I start talking about what I do, and they go, really? They go, there's like people do that, and I was like, yeah, of course people do that. You know what I mean? But it's just like I wouldn't even know where to begin to tell somebody about like a normal shoot day. You're there for 12 hours. What? Yeah, you're there for 12 hours. Yeah. Like I don't know how else to say it, but you're there all fucking day. Yeah. But like that's why I mean, and I get the whole cinephile thing, like but yeah, it's such a trip because like it's so easy to overthink and make it very complicated. But you're playing in a fucking sandbox.
Yeah, it's not.
That's all you're doing.
Yeah, we're just telling stories.
Right.
And we're believing in the make believe.
Yes.
Like that's what everybody's doing at every area basically on set. Like
no, 1,000%.
In every position.
1,000%.
Yeah.
I know, yeah, and trust me, I mean, I've always wanted to be out here too, and I knew that I would end up out here, but like I never knew the like the type of person you are. Like when you say what's on your 5-year plan, I don't fucking know. But like to say that obviously you're a much different person now than you were when you started out. So, and that's fucking crazy cool because like that's a lot of milestones already checked off. You're a SAG member. Yeah. You're doing it, you're working on these shows, you're getting the different types of experience. Yeah.
If I was going to say I still love that girl. Like I love the girl half my age. She was so like ambitious. She's like I'm going to do it no matter what. Like it's going to happen, and like I would just like give her a hug.
Yeah, I mean, it got you here.
Good.
Yeah,
but
it got you to where you are now.
But you also can relax and enjoy your life and realize that this isn't everything. And the reality of it is you have to pay, like, you have to make a certain amount of money enough to live here, you know? You have to do side hustles and stuff, and you have to be realistic about that. And that doesn't mean that is taking away from your dream at all, or that this won't happen in the future. And you just have to kind of be open to it.
Well, do you think that, how do you feel about other people having a lot more to lose?
What do you mean? Like, a lot more to lose?
Just, like, from being out here and everything like that too, right? Like just people in general, like from other countries or states that, are like, they have no arts whatsoever. You know what I mean? To some people, it literally is a ride or die thing. So, like, how do you feel about that? Like, do you consider yourself one of the very lucky ones having to, because your family's also out here. So it's just like, that's real fucking, that's lucky in of itself, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to go very far.
Right.
So, like, but how do you, I guess if, it's a long game, right?
Yeah.
You have to trust the process and all that good stuff, right?
Yeah. How do I feel about...
I guess what I'm wondering is just like day-to-day life for you, for Kendal.
Yeah.
Like, how do you navigate it? Do you navigate it just like, I gotta hustle, I gotta grind?
Yeah.
Or is it more
Every
like,
day.
thank God I'm doing this?
I think it's I gotta hustle every day.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta hustle every day. I have my family out here, but we're not like... I don't come from money. I don't come from like...
Are they still in LA or did they?
Yeah, they're in LA.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I think especially... well, my dad got sick like 2 years ago, and that's been like a big thing. And then you're like, wow, like, what if I, what the people that are... Your parents get older, you get older. Like, what if they've supported me this whole time? What if they're gone and they don't get to see everything they supported? I don't know. I think for people who don't have their family out here, who I feel very ride or die with my family being out here though. It's not like I have this, I can go see them, which is great.
Sure, yeah, that's not what I'm saying at all. But yeah.
But like I don't have like
what do you think allows people to stay out here and to work on things is what I'm wondering. Because you could have left, you could have gone anywhere. You could have gone to New York, you could have gone to Chicago.
I couldn't afford to go to New York.
No.
I probably couldn't afford to go to Chicago either to move. I mean, the reason I went to Ireland is because it's less expensive to study there.
Yeah.
It's
sure.
less expensive to do a master's
and you were in
there.
school
And then I was
there.
working there.
Yeah, exactly. That's so crazy though to know, like the differences between like the United States, like trying to make it as an actor here versus like, oh yeah, it's so easy to do in Europe. No problem. We have incentives. We have programs.
Yeah. It's still hard over there, though.
Oh, no, for sure.
It's still very hard.
I know that the competition is high everywhere.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I'm trying to figure out, like, what makes you tick? Why do you still kind of
to do it?
Yeah, keep a positive head on your shoulders and chip away at it.
I don't have a positive head on my shoulders. I really don't. I think, like, I'm talking like I do right now, and you know... I don't know. I think it's just I have this. I love to act. I'll be acting till I die. Mm-hmm. Like hopefully when I'm much older, when I'm 100 years old. I don't know, but I think I just love it. And
but you never find yourself wrestling with a what if I did something else.
I mean I do other things. I substitute teach. I teach. I know I've never wanted to switch a complete career. Mm-hmm. Like completely change my career. But
you have to do other things, but
to survive. Yeah.
But it's not like those other things took over who you are.
They didn't. No, because because I think I've just I love storytelling. I want to act. That's what I want to do, regardless of how it has or will manifest. I don't know. I can't control that, but I think I know that it's what I maybe for other people. You know, if there's something else they want to do and it's not working out, maybe it is worth pursuing that. I don't think my happiness, I think I feel like I used to think my happiness like lived or died on this career or my success in it, and it doesn't at all anymore.
That's good.
Yeah, like I love my family, I love my friends. I love simple things like getting a coffee or like good coffee and going on a walk, and I love my dogs, and the other stuff is like
doesn't really define you.
You can't control it at all.
No, I get
that. And
that.
I don't I hope
and I find that extremely refreshing too, to be honest with you, because I am that kind of person who, you know, is essentially like, this is it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, I was also talking about like how you define success with a friend of mine earlier, you know, and honestly too, I really do think that if you are content doing what you're doing, if you're happy with where you're at, if you know, have zero complications in your personal life and you're good, then that's all that really matters. You know, so
I think you're always going to have those things, and I think you're always going to want to be further ahead, right? Like I want to be further ahead, and everybody has complications in their life, but I don't think that I don't think those have to be like mowed out to feel successful. Like you can't. Life's always going to be like a twister thing. Right. Nobody ever. Things are always crazy for everyone. What you know, like nobody. You can't. You never know what's going on with somebody. I mean, do I feel successful? Is that like I don't necessarily feel successful. I feel very behind in life. Well, because I'm in my 30s and I can't, you know, buy a house, and I'm not married, and I have all these like being a millennial in general.
But I think like, you present a very different approach.
I
think so. Yeah. I mean, you've just been talking to me for an hour about, you know, how you went from one thing to the next thing to the next thing to the next thing. And it seemed to motivate every single move along the way.
Yeah.
But you never at one time, until you said to me, I don't think I'm positive at all, I was like, what? I was like, that's completely, like, because I get that. You know what I mean? I understand that.
Yeah.
And I feel that way. But I also think that, you know, for a person who's in your 30s, I think you're more successful than you actually are giving yourself credit, because you're doing what you want. We were just on the fucking Michael Jackson project. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And before that, we were on this other fucking TV show, you know, that's going to be on network some shit. You know what I mean? But we're like, you know, we're not like household names yet.
Yeah.
Right? But it's one of those things where I do think that, you know, and why I'm doing this, as artists, I think that we have to give ourselves more credit.
Yeah.
You know, we have to actually be nicer to ourselves.
Yeah.
We have to, I mean, dude, we live in fucking Southern California. You realize how fucking awesome it is out there right now?
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing, is that, like, other people are fucking actually fucking miserable, you know, in places that are red states, and we're chilling. Yeah. Like, I mean, I think we're doing pretty good.
Okay. I think somebody else told me recently that I was a positive person, and I was like, what do you mean? Like, I'm not a positive person. Like, yeah, but I get what you mean. No, it's not an insult, but I think it is like, maybe it's the perfectionism thing.
There it
like
is.
In my head, I'm like, I'm saying these things and I believe them, but it's also like, you know, I think about every minor thing. I do. Like, I think about how other people I know who I came from the same place of are, you know, basically household names now. Oh, yeah. How, you know, there was a manager that I had who told me I had to shave my head or become anorexic to make it. And like, that's
so insane.
And yeah, no, it is insane, but it's also like, you know, it's perpetuated this thing in me of like, you know, I've struggled with like eating disorders and stuff, and it's a day-to-day thing. So I think about that all the time. It's not like, you know, I think about, you know, dating is another thing. It's a stressful thing. And being a millennial and feeling like an adult child sometimes, but then also being like, well, I want to be a joyful person because I want to keep living and existing and stuff, but I also don't want to be like disillusional, and I need to be in reality of like making money, because I can't, you have to make money. It's like there's all this, like I present, sure, maybe, I guess, as a positive person to people, maybe because I smile, I don't know, but
it's a blonde hair and blue eyes, and she smiles.
Maybe, or people just assume that for some reason, but it's not like,
no, I get it.
And
I
then
get it.
Like your parents get sick, or like you get, like last year I went to Florida, and I had a kid point a gun at us in a car. Like I lost a friend last year to she was bent to suicide. I have had all this stuff happen, so it's like I might present positive, but like it's not perfect at all. It's all me just trying to figure out the next best thing for me, while also like letting go of control, because you don't know what anyone ever is going through. I think for somebody who I lost last year, everybody kind of thought everything was fine, and it was not, so I don't know. I want everyone else around me to be okay.
Yeah.
I am okay-ish, but I'm struggling just like the next person.
Yeah.
It's a rough world, and like the older you get, the more you collect of, and you just realize that like joy is really in the small things, and you just gotta like kind of, your only job is to take care of yourself, really. And
I like how in this new day and age, I mean post-COVID world, we're talking about like, it's more like all this creative shit is just something extra that you do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, it's this other job. It's just a cool thing that I do. It's a cool gig.
It's an outlet.
I make money. I make it as an outlet, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And people are using the term career less and less, which is fascinating to me. They're talking about, work-life situations and distractions and things like that. I mean, I talked briefly to one of my guests about imposter syndrome. And how it's like a big deal, but at the same time though, like we all go through that shit, and I think that that's just part of general anxiety and stress, that when you realize that you are good enough and your work is valued to people, that it becomes less and less of like, oh, like I wonder, and it's just like, oh, I am doing, what I mean? Like because I think like having those kinds of like the doing versus the like the art of doing versus the art of wondering, I think is kind of what we're all going through right now. Yeah. And so we're just trying to put a name to the thing. Yeah.
I think that's good. Like I think sometimes I've gotten in the trap of talking about things, but sometimes when you talk about it, it gives you the false sense that you've actually done it.
Right.
And so sometimes it's good to like not talk about it till after you've done it.
Yes.
Because you don't want to feel like you completed something that
or jinx your opportunity or something.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
No, that's fucking pretty spot on, man.
Yeah.
Are you working on anything now, or what? Are you doing anything these days, like shooting anything, or what?
I'm doing a YouTube comedy sketch thing next week, and then I'm waiting to hear back from I submitted a script to the Jordan Peele Monster Film Festival, so I guess that's in July.
Yeah, that's so cool.
So I guess that's coming up. But I after submitting it, I looked at like some of the people who had submitted things, and they've like one guy wrote white chicks. So there's like the caliber of people who submitted to this thing are like all so.
Yeah, of course. But of course, you run into those guys.
Yeah, but even if that doesn't pan out, I still want to make it. And other than that, let's see.
Is it doable? Like, can you make it on a small budget?
With some favors. Yeah, sure.
Well, yeah,
I gotta pull my, look at my network and be like, who can I ask for help?
You can always ask me, but
maybe. Yeah, no, I know. I think we've talked about that before. I want you. I want you involved in it. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I just need a parking garage.
Sure.
So if you know anybody who has like a really deep, but I mean it doesn't have to, because you can we can just manipulate it.
You can find
around
one,
and stuff. But that's the biggest thing. But other than that, no, I like it's been kind of dry audition unless I booked. Maybe I did book the last guest star thing I went out for. That would be great. Maybe I did. And then No, that's about it. Just kind of waiting for, or, you know, writing and...
Just keep poking away at it, man. Just keep
Yeah.
chipping away at it, because
Yeah.
I'm doing the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, that's the name of the game. I mean, you know, but at least we're doing it. You know, we're not talking about it. I mean, we spent an hour and a half talking about it, but like...
I feel like this went really long. I feel like it went longer
No, it's great.
than...
Real quick, do you have any... Because I always fuck this question up, but do you have any pluggables? Any social media pluggables? Where can people find you and your work and what you're doing?
You can find me at the Kendal Evans Show, which is Kendal with one L, and then it's spelled the Kendal Evans how.
Spell it out.
Okay. At TheKendal EVANSHOW, because I didn't want to do two S's. So I'm there on Instagram, and I think I'm there on YouTube. I was doing like a YouTube vlog series for a bit.
Oh,
so
cool.
Yeah. And then I'm on TikTok, but yeah, you can follow me there.
Are you also Kendal Evans Show on TikTok?
I think so.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So I know when I actually do put this on the talk.
Oh, yeah. I just followed the
podcast
Guerilla.
is on the talk, not me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
It's just so, because I mean, it
TikTok's
is me.
crazy.
It's fucking ridiculous.
It's crazy. Oh my gosh.
It's nuts, man.
I
like those platforms, and I like the fact that, you know, the immediacy is really where I go with that.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's kind of more up my speed, but at the same time, though, it's really hard to be that spontaneous.
Yeah.
You know, and also too, I mean, yeah, just doing all this stuff is not fucking easy.
No, it's not.
You
easy
know,
at all.
I mean,
Yeah.
and just setting it up. I mean, it looks easy, but you know, really though, it's like
it's a lot of work that goes
fucking
into it.
And like the audio will be done faster than the video, so you know. But you know, yeah, it's been a trip, man. You know, and just keep plugging, man. Just keep shooting at it, and because I mean, really, I tell everybody, you know. Forgive the hockey analogy, but we're still in the first period. We have so much more to go.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
It's not even over yet.
Yeah.
You know, we're like 10 minutes into it, you know. Some people think, I'm 5 minutes left. And I'm like, no, dude, like, you still got plenty of time left, you know?
Yeah. No, I think that's great. I think one of the great things that sports teaches you in any career or any like really hard career that you're trying to, you know, make it in is that, sometimes you're in practice mode, sometimes you're in performance mode, sometimes you're at the meet, and you have to know those differences. And I think that's the good play, a good, it sets up like a good mindset and a good like, what's it called? Just like a good pace or whatever. You got it. And it's like, it's about, I think I was listening to a podcast and I heard Denzel Washington said, like, he was like, you got to look in your own lane. You can't look at the other person. Because if you look at the other person, you'll lose speed. And it's like, you got to, we're all meant to live our own lives. We you know, we're all social true. And we post things and look at each other's stuff on social media. But
yeah, the comparison game.
Lane.
Yeah, the comparison game is real, right?
Yeah,
I know.
It's so real. I think it's definitely been something that's gotten me off track before. But
do you think?
Okay,
are you back on track? Is that where we're going with that?
I think I'm back on track. Yeah, it's hard, but like I try to delete my Instagram like once a day. And I'll just re-download it. But
then no one will find you. No, I'm kidding. I'm fucking.
Well, yeah, just the app off my phone. But yeah.
But seriously though, no, it's been a treat. Thank you for coming out.
Yeah,
I really
thanks for
appreciate.
having me.
Yeah, no, thank you for coming out and taking an hour and a half. And no, trust me, the longest interview I had was 2.5 hours.
Wow.
This is nothing.
Oh, good. Okay, I'm glad.
But no, for real, thank you so much for being a part of this crazy ass idea.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me.
Of course.
I'm happy to be a part of anyone's idea. Well, no, not anyone, but I'm happy to be part of your ideas. Yeah.